All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for today's fourth episode of CEDA Sparks. We're thrilled you're here, and I'm your moderator for today. My name is Lauren LaGreca, and I'm the marketing manager here for CEDA. Your one-stop for economic development, providing businesses with easy access to all the information, incentives, and resources needed to either start or grow a business in Cuyahoga County. We meet you where you are on your business journey. Our fourth episode for today is focused on the NYSEG RG&E commercial and industrial rebate programs. So what is this program? How can you apply? For this presentation, we're thrilled to welcome Bob Hake, Energy Advisor with Franklin Energy, who will walk us through the program, answer those questions and more, talk about eligible projects, guidelines, limitations, and more. As a reminder, today's presentation is being recorded and will be made available for future reference on CEDA's website, access from our homepage, and linked to our YouTube channel. If you have any questions during today's presentation, please type them directly to me in the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer those. And we'll look to answer them after today's presentation during the Q&A, so please stay on with us. After we stop the recording, we will go ahead and answer any additional questions that you might not want recorded, and hear additional CEDA updates from Maureen Reister. And now, speaking of Maureen, I will pass this on to her, who will introduce herself and also today's guest speaker.
Thank you, Lauren, for starting us off. I'm Maureen Reister, the Economic Development Specialist here at CEDA. Together with the Small Business Development Specialist, Paul Vigiano, and with the support of everyone else here on the CEDA team, we do things like help entrepreneurs get information to develop their business plans. We connect small business owners to the resources they need to grow. And we also help our large employers navigate the many programs that are available to help them expand and hire more employees. I've been looking forward to today's Sparks episode because this topic applies to so many businesses, but it's often overlooked. With the passing of New York State's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, most people know it as the CLCPA, there are even more programs available to incentivize businesses to reduce emissions and to facilitate the transition to the use of clean energy. I'm not going to go into too much of that right now because we have an energy expert with us today who I'll introduce in just a moment. But first, I want to explain that these CEDA Sparks episodes are designed to be brief conversations of topics that are relevant and current in order to spark ideas for your business. As Lauren explained, these episodes are recorded so you can watch them again and again. You can also share the videos with others. And after we stop the recording, please stick around for an informal Q&A session with our presenter and other CEDA staff. As always, our services are free and confidential, so information about programs like this and many other things can be obtained by simply reaching out to us. So without further delay, we are thrilled to introduce Bob Hake, Senior Energy Advisor for Franklin Energy for Central New York. Bob works to help government and small to large businesses in Central and Northern New York to achieve energy savings through their utility rebate programs and economic development opportunities. Bob was raised in Western New York, attended RIT and Empire State College, and has been working in the energy and electrical engineering fields. Bob resides in Penfield with his wife, Patty, and their two grown children, Bob III and Lindsay Jean. And we just heard this morning that there is now a Bob IV. So thank you so much for joining us today, Bob. This virtual floor is all yours.
Thank you. And I appreciate, thank you to Maureen and to Lauren for the opportunity, and all the CEDA team members for the invitation to today. I'm honored to be part of the CEDA Sparks program. And I think that they play an important role for the businesses, for strengthening and growing businesses in Cuyahoga County. Let me get started here, and I'll kind of go through our program overview. We'll start out. Corporate always asked us to give a safety moment, so I have a quick slide on that. Go through our program overview, some of the offerings, our prescriptive rebates versus custom rebates, overview of some of the catalogs that we have in terms of what's eligible, some of the rates. Probably an important one for everybody involved now that's either thinking of a project or in the middle of one, is there's a summer bonus program. So that's an important thing we'll go through. How to apply the application through our portal, give an overview on that. And then the resources, there's a lot of good links on here that'll bring you right to where you need to go. And then we'll have some Q&A at the end. Here's some general information for us. Again, we are Franklin Energy. We implement the rebate programs for commercial industrial customers in the NYSEG and Argini territories. Those territories can go all the way from Western Central New York, up in the North Country, down in the Southern tier. So there's pockets of this utility all over the place. And important to note also that we deal with a lot of customers that have several utilities. So they could have NYSEG Electric, but they could have National Grid for gas or vice versa. So we work with the National Grid and the other utilities as well. We'll serve the customer for some portion of their utility rebates, and we'll work with them, and they'll cover other portions of it. So you don't have to be a customer for both gas and electric with just one of the utilities. But here's our general email link to get in there, and our general phone number. And later on, I'll give you some of their my personal email and cell phones and that type of thing. But this is for the general Franklin inbox. Just a quick overview of how we're staffed. We have a program manager in Rochester. I'm part of the outreach team that covers kind of East Rochester and works my way into the Central New York. I get up in the North Country, and we have outreach specialists in Buffalo, Binghamton, Rochester, and Albany. But there's a lot of pockets that we don't cover. So I have no problem being a first contact for anybody, no matter where you are. If I've got to come out, or I've got to get ask one of my other advisors to help out with this, but we work pretty good together. We have an engineering staff that's everybody today working remote, but these guys are in the Rochester area. And then we have an operations side that will handle issues like the portal and help get applications through the system and ultimately back to the utility for payments of the rebates. This is our service territory, myself being in the green. But again, I've traveled up to Plattsburgh before, and I've been way down towards close to New York City. So, we'll go where the rebates are. And, one quick explanation is that we have been given a task with a large pool of rebate money. The utility works hand in hand with the Public Service Commission, and when they maintain or obtain their goals, we have goals that mirror that. So we're looking for energy savings, whether it's therms of gas, natural gas, or kilowatt hours of electricity. So anything that we can save either one of these will be privy and be eligible for some rebate money. It's for customers who perform energy efficiency upgrades to their facilities. It can be HVAC, it can be lighting, kitchen equipment, process equipment. We work a lot with thermoplastic company. They have certain processes that can be changed and obtain a lot of energy savings. So we're working close with them. And again, we have most of the rebates are prescriptive, so we make it very easy to apply for. But we also get into custom when say in a process, we have to really kind of come up with some way to measure and verify the energy savings, and then they would be paid on a per kilowatt hour or per therm of energy saved. So prescriptive and custom. So we kind of got both covered there, depending on the situation. Eligibility, you've got to be a NYSEG or Argini natural gas or electricity directly metered commercial industrial customer, which should fit into just the majority of people out there. Where we run into trouble, some of the largest of the large, where they may have negotiated specific agreements with the utility, and everybody pays into the rebate program indirectly. On your utility bill, you'll find a systems benefits charge. They're fractions of pennies, but they add up and they make up a pool of rebate money to be spent for energy conservation projects. So that's how the pool has been is processed, and we will implement the program for the utility. Eligible project types would be the retrofits, add-ons, major renovations, and we do cover new construction as well. And in some of the catalogs, it'll specify, say, particular lighting fixtures. Some are approved for new construction, some can be more for retrofits, but we pretty much do cover any of the phases in there. And again, the rebates are paid after the project is completed. So you can self-install if you want to, or you can get a contractor, or what we call trade allies. Those are contractors that register with us. They are on the NYSEG and RG&E website. They have a trade ally logo that they can use. So if there's anybody out there that's thinking about being a trade ally, it's good advertising for you and for prospective customers looking for somebody, a contractor in their area. They can go to the website and see people that are in that area that are on our program that have done work for us before, and kind of give you some validity to that contractor, not knowing them yourself. But again, the rebates are paid after the project is completed. They do not have to be pre-inspected, but in when there's a question whether something is eligible or not, that's what I'm here for. I'll go out to the site. We can pick up the phone. There's many ways we can do it. I just want to make sure that you're eligible in terms of what equipment that you use. But we do a good job at spelling all that out, so everybody knows exactly what they're going to get the rebate on. The program year runs from January 1st through November 30th, and that just gives us kind of December for final, trying to get everything through the system and get it paid out in that calendar year. Again, final approval applications, we do accept them through December, but usually it's a mad rush between late November and December, trying to get everything in the queue and get it out of there and get it paid before that calendar year is over. NYSEG and RG&E, they're identical programs, just different budgets. And again, prescriptive rebates, predetermined amounts, pre-approval is not required, but it is encouraged if you have questions. I've had people have called me and said, we put a whole bunch of lights up. I hear there's rebates for it. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, what type of fixture? I need the information on the fixture, because they have to be an approved fixture for the program. The fear here is that there's a lot of overseas fixtures and ballasts and lamps, and they don't always perform the way they're supposed to. So the utility has asked us to use two benchmarks, the DLC list or the Energy Star list are two lists that fixtures are listed and approved on. If they show up on that list, they assign a number to them, and that's part of your application process to us. So we really need to determine up front. And when there's any question whatsoever, like I said, I've been out, whether it's a manufacturing business, or I've been out visiting farms, and I've seen probably way too many more cows early in the morning than I'd like to. But there's programs for everybody involved. And when in doubt, I have no problem taking a ride out and seeing the customer and make sure that you're eligible and everything there's no snags down the line. And again, custom rebates, again, we talked before, it's performance-based. They do take a pre-approval, and because we have to come up with some kind of measurement and verification program to prove the energy savings. And there's no limits, there's no minimum or maximum. Some with custom programs, there's a cap on it, but not on the prescriptive side. And again, this is on the custom side, where we said they're performance-based. They'll give you a flat 20 cents a kilowatt hour saved or $1.50 a therm annually saved. And these are going to be some of your bigger projects, heat recovery systems, some process equipment that's changed on the floor. They've got new ways of, like a lot of VFDs and a lot of ways to throttle motors down. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but we cover it under a custom program. And it just means that we have to get the engineers involved up front early on. And there is a pre-approval. So we do a lot of upfront to make sure that when we're finished with this, it's smooth and we get paid at the end, that the utility pays on it. And again, those are calculations that have to be formulated in the custom program. It's going to take a little bit more time than your prescriptive rebate. But on large projects and large companies doing something like this, it can be extremely lucrative for them, and a huge cost savings. And remember, it's not always the amount of the rebate that's going to be had when it's finished. It's the energy savings from that point on. Once the energy conservation project has been installed, then you've got your monthly savings and annual savings from there. So the rebates are just kind of a little push and icing on the cake to get people kind of off the dime here and to get going in something. But ultimately, your utility bill being reduced moving forward is probably the most important thing. Again, we mentioned early on there's a 15% bonus that's being paid for projects that either we typically at the end of the year, like I mentioned, we have a real crunch in November and December, and trying to get all the projects in on time. They've all got to be in by the 31st of December. By doing this, we moved the bonus kind of towards the middle of the year, so we can get kind of a bigger bubble and have more time to get them processed. So this is a 15% bonus in addition to any of the rebates that you'll get. So you have to have a project. We went from July 1st through September 30th to be completed and installed. So if anybody out there has started something, somebody thinks that they're right on the edge here and they're ready to do something, now would be a good time to get involved and get this done quickly. These bonuses are capped at $20,000, but it's a nice significant bonus. And what it does is it helps us get this into the system and get it processed before crunch time at the end of December. But well worth thinking about it. And if anybody has anything that they may be thinking about, just give me a holler and we can talk about it and see if we can get this thing in under the wire and get it finished in time. The application process is pretty easy. What we do, it's all done online and through a customer portal that we call Engage. All you have to do is you can visit the website for either RG&E or NYSEG. That'll bring you right where you want to go. You confirm the project eligibility and type. Then you apply online, and you can go in there before your project is started, or if you're thinking about doing a project, because you want to go in and register. And registering through the Engage portal probably takes a day or two, and you'll get a return email with a confirmation. At that point, you're registered with us, and whenever you decide to start a project, and you don't have to do an entire building. You can do it in steps if you want to. Say you want to only do the shipping department. You can go in and do an application for the shipping department. It's very simple. It tells you, you put in the type of fixture that you're using. And again, from the DLC website or the Energy Star website, with the fixture that you've chosen, you'll be assigned a number, and that's going to be on the application. the number of fixtures that you've installed. And again, it doesn't have to be contractor, it can be self-installed. And right at the end of that line, it'll spit out the eligible rebate estimate, and you can just send it in by itself. You may in the next few weeks decide you want to go out on a different floor and do another small lighting project. You can throw another application in right in behind it. So there, you don't need to wait for an entire facility to be finished. You can just keep moving ahead as you want to. And each area that you do is its own application. So you can just stack them up there. So it's nice. You don't have to go and do everything at once, either for financing or upfront money or anything else. So it's a good way to get started on it. Custom project, we said, has to be pre-approved. You don't have to pre-approve a prescriptive rebate, but if you have any question or a particular lighting fixture that you'd like to use and you're not sure if it's going to work and if it's going to be eligible for a rebate, give me a call. I mean, that's the nice thing about my job is that I don't sell anything. We have rebate money that needs to be spent because we have goals that mirror the utilities goals for energy savings. So we're just looking for projects that can save energy. So it makes my job, it's probably one of the best jobs there is. I don't usually get any doors slammed in my face. I'm just bringing money. That's all. So we get pre-approval for, it has to be custom, but we can get a pre-approval for a prescriptive, and that's fine. Execute the project. Again, you can do it in-house, or you can get a contractor to do it. And when you get into the Engage in the portal and you're ready to do it, you submit some final documents. There's a nice checklist at the end of it that tells you what it needs. Example, a W-9 as to where the money is going to get paid, if it goes to the customer, if it goes to the contractor, however you've worked this out, that'll be determined at the end of the rebate process. Cut sheets, final invoice, that type of thing. But it's laid out very nice. It's in kind of a checkbox at the end of it. Again, contractors, vendors, or third-party reps can apply on behalf of a utility customer and get paid the rebate if the customer agrees. And contract program staff, with any questions, we can do a demo of an application process. And again, that's my job, is to help people through this. So anything to do with the customer portal, picking out fixtures, or do I have an opportunity to do something here at all, just call me. There's a small business program, which is determined by the utility account number. They're the smaller businesses, a lot of your mom and pop shops. Years ago, these type of programs were only privy to the very large customers. And if they were going to be doing 5 or 10 or 20,000 fixtures on a floor, they made out very well on this. Unfortunately, a lot of the small customers, they fell between the cracks. So what the utility did is they came out with an actual program just for small business. What's nice about it, the only thing that they have to be a less than 110 kW demand on an average, and gas consumption of less than 5,000 therms. And again, if you have any question whether you're classified as a small business, send me your NYSEG or RG&E account number over, and they're categorized. We have a master list of all the customers, and it will pop up and be determined as a small business customer with the utility. The nice thing about it is they have a higher level of rebates for certain measures. So they may not be doing 15,000 fixtures, maybe they're doing 15 or 20 of them. But the rebate, there are higher rebates per fixture, per lamp, or whatever the rebate. They do it lead lighting fixtures, furnaces, boilers, unit heaters, Wi-Fi thermostats, demand controlled ventilation. There's a lot more than ever used to be here for small businesses. So keeping in mind, it's not just electric, it's gas as well. And again, if you get a question, if you're categorized that way, just send me the account number and we can research it. And it's a higher level of rebate for these small programs. So they don't make it up with volume, but they make up on a per fixture, per project cost. Trade ally program, like I mentioned, they have a lot of pluses to it. They have resources, catalogs, sell sheets, webinars and training that we do with them on a regular basis. They have all the program updates from newsletters, emails, upcoming events. Very easy to become a trade ally. And again, it can be electrical contractor, it could be a general contractor. I have electrical distributors, HVAC distributors, where they have a lot of customers coming into their counters. And as a sales tool for them, it helps because they know what equipment is going to have a rebate available. So if somebody wants to buy a boiler, or somebody's going to be buying, any kind of renovation, equipment for their facility, these counter guys and their sales guys will know what items are rebatable, and that helps their selling cycle. That helps them to push more equipment if they know there's rebates on it. A lot of people don't know there is, so they're buying the equipment, they install it, and they had no idea that they could have gotten a rebate on it. So it's nice to become a registered trade ally. You're kind of an expert on the program. There's a branded logo that you can use. It promotes your business and it connects with interested customers as well. And you're assigned an energy advisor. Myself and everybody else has trade allies assigned to us. So we work hand in hand with them with any questions or interact with customers that they may have interested in their equipment. And we categorize them. They're a network of contractors, engineering firms, third-party experts who participate in and partner with our program offerings. So anybody can be a trade ally, but like I said, you'll be on the website, so it's some good advertising on the RG&E and NYSEG website as well. We also have a tool for the registered trade allies and for customers. Find the right trade ally for the job. So if somebody wants to have a project done, say in the Cortland area, and they don't know, they want to do a lighting project, they don't want to do it themselves, so they're going to look for somebody that can do it. And you really don't know, who's more into the lighting retrofits. If a lot of them have a lot of specialties they do. So we have a tool that logistically will put you in contact with people, trade allies in your area, according to zip code, and you can go out as far as you want from 5, 10, 20 miles, whatever that you want to set the bar at, and we'll give you a whole bunch of trade allies that you can talk to and have them out and give you an estimate. So it's good for them, it's good for the utility customers as well. Also, I don't know if there's a lot of people aware, EV chargers are a big thing today. A lot of businesses will put them in for their employees. Other people will put them in, apartment complexes will put them in for their tenants. There are rebates, again, for this, and offset the cost of putting in some of the EV chargers. The utility is paying 90 to 100% of the construction costs. So what that means is the pipe, the wire, the panel, and even part of the utility cost to get service there, they're paying up to 90 to 100% of the construction. Now, the 90 to 100% are for public offered chargers. If you are going to put it in for your particular manufacturing company, you only want your own employees to use it, they will cover up to 50%. So what they're trying to do here is the more they will offer to the public, there's a higher level of rebate back on it. Now, the only thing it's not covered is the charger itself. But I was just made aware about 2 weeks ago that NYSERDA has started another program back up and refunded it, that they will cover some costs on the charger itself. So essentially, you could put these in if you partner with NYSERDA on the charger, and with the utility with us on the installation cost, you could have the majority of this covered. And again, we have some website links up here. I think what's important about this, most of this slide deck, is that it has all these links that'll bring you exactly where you want to go. So it's a very good reference point for people to get you to the right place when you have a question. Top right here, we've got the NYSEG and RG&E Make Ready right to their website. Qualified contractor list for EV, that's listed below. And then our program contacts, there are people that do what I do just on the EV side. So I would be a good starting point, and then I could get you to the right person that could take over the EV portion of it, but I can still be your main contact for any type of rebate you're thinking of. And then we hone it down to the point that you have some EV questions. I can get you in contact with the EV energy advisors. There are 4 of us in the state that do commercial industrial. There's 2 of the guys here that do the EVs throughout the state. And again, there's application for the portal help as well for the EV that'll bring you right to that section for the EV portion of it. And we do have, there's a program webinar that was just done here for the Make Ready down below here, to click on that, and we'll bring you right to that webinar, and we'll answer a lot more questions in depth than when I did. This is a very helpful page. Again, this is the program websites for both NYSEG and RG&E proper, and the Trade Ally website. We have our 2023 program kickoff webinar that was done back in January. We probably had about 300 and some people involved with that webinar. That was very successful, just telling, a lot hasn't changed between the 22 and the 23 year, but there were a few small changes. So it was just good to kick it off, let everybody know what was going on for the new year. And again, there's an application portal webinar. That's a wealth of information, how to get started on the portal, exactly what you need to do. We just did a webinar on the small business itself. So if you are a small business and have more questions on that particular portion of it, that's a great resource. And then down below, again, application for the portal, there's a guide. So there's a webinar on it, and then there's a PDF guide to walk you through in either case. And again, a territory map to kind of get an idea, who's covering what. And lastly, this is how you connect with our team. Sharon is in Buffalo. Carl covers most of Rochester except the east. That's where I take over, and then into the central. And I got Amelia that is down in the southern portion in Binghamton. And there's our general email again, and our general phone. So I appreciate the time that CEDA gave me for this. I hope I get the chance to get out and see a lot of the members, and we can get going and get some rebate checks processed for the not only small but large businesses, and anybody out there that has some questions on the rebates, I'd love to hear from you.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much, Bob. That was chock full of a lot of information. And like I've said in the chat, we'll definitely send the PowerPoint to everyone so you can have access to all the links and be able to reference this for future submissions as you go through some of the projects that you might have for your business.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Programs like this are so important to all the small and large customers down in the Cayuga area. I love the opportunity to reach out, and a lot of these people just don't know what's out there, and my job is to tell them what's available. So I hope I get to see everybody out there soon.
For sure. For sure. You don't know what you don't know. So Maureen, I think
Exactly.
looks like you have a question bubbling.
I have so many questions. I learned a lot. Thank you very much for sharing all of this information with us. So one thing that might be on everyone's mind is, saying NYSEG and RG&E, and just so everyone knows, in the northern part of Cayuga County, because Cayuga County goes all the way up to Lake Ontario. So we do have a section of Cayuga County that is served by RG&E. And the thing that I found most fascinating is we have more work to do, because CEDA should be reaching out to all of the small businesses who are contractors or engineers that are working with businesses and might be speccing out the equipment in order to do lighting or something. So for example, if I own a business and I wanted to update all my lights to LED lights, I should look for one of these trade allies, because then I don't have to do the rebate paperwork, right? They would be
Exactly.
doing and it sounds like there are incentives for those trade allies as well to help promote the program, and saving energy across the board is great for everyone. So one question I wanted to ask, and I'll let other people ask questions too, I promise, is when you're talking about what kind of person is defined as a commercial customer? So I'm thinking of our smaller buildings or businesses. Take like a mixed use building in downtown Auburn that has residential on the upper stories and maybe a retail location on the first floor. Do they have a different NYSEG bill that designates them as commercial, or how would they know if they are a commercial customer for those smaller businesses?
Well, good question, Maureen. And in that instance, that's where a lot of these small, the small businesses have the apartments up on top, and they've got their storefronts. The storefront would be considered, and if we ran their account number, it would probably be registered with NYSEG as a small business account. And then, of course, the residential, we don't get into the residential programs, but I have provided links. There are other internal RG&E programs that do cover that. We just don't, because we strictly are on the commercial, industrial, or the small business. But yeah, there's so many small storefronts that really kind of got lost before. Those kind of opened up a whole new thing. Now, NYSEG used to have another company, Lime Energy, that kind of competed with us in this, in such that the small mom and pop store could call them in. They would do they'd do an install for them, but you had to use them, and they had to use the fixtures that they had available to them. The customer didn't have any flexibility. NYSEG cut ties with Lime, so now they're all falling under our program, which gives the customer a choice. He can self-install, he can pick the fixtures, he can work with anybody that he wants to, and these rebate levels were increased for the smaller customers. So it gives him a great opportunity.
And something that's a little different about this program, as opposed to many of the other programs that we work with at CEDA, which we need to have these programs in place before a project happens, these energy rebates can be back-looking, correct? And
yes,
can you speak to that about how long? So if you've already done a few energy upgrades, what's your window to submit for a rebate?
Usually if I stay in this calendar year, I can get it through. I had a customer the other day, and I'm not sure if it was one of your customers or Lauren, maybe somebody, I can't remember who I dealt with, but they said they had bought a whole bunch of lamps back in 21 and 22. I think the last purchase they made was December 22. And I said, the previous calendar year is going to be a tough one. They won't let us go on that one. But if you have any invoicing from 23, I've been able to go back to, March, February, where it hasn't been an issue with them. Then we can still recoup them. So we can go back several months, but if we get out of the calendar year, then they give us a problem with that, and they won't go with that one.
I want to offer, does anyone else have a question they want to ask Bob? So Anything?
I got a quick question. I apologize. I'm going to miss this, Robert, but so if you are obviously renting from a landlord and you're paying the utility bill for your little restaurant or your shop or whatever, you can still be eligible for this. Does it go through the landlord specifically, these developments, or can it be through the actual?
That's a
leasing?
good question. Sometimes it gets a little sticky with people that are renting. They can go through and do a project. It comes down to who's going to pay for the project, who's going to be designated. It can be designated to anybody to be paid out. So they might have to take and sell that to the owner. But it may end up being maybe the renter wants to have it done and he wants to replace them. Either maybe the owner will purchase the material. Maybe they'll take the rebate and the tenant will then enjoy in the lower cost per month. I think it can be worked out. I've worked with both before. And some people, even the tenants say, all right, I'll do it and I'll get the rebate. And then the owner didn't care. It's only upgrading his property anyways.
Correct. Okay, great. So they're eligible.
Yeah.
Another question too with the rebates, I'm curious, like, do people have to say to themselves, oh, geez, do the rebates change that dramatically in financing or in money funds where I'd be like in a rush, like, oh no, I want to get this in before December because it might not be there next year or it might be lower amounts. Is there a worry or concern for that? Or do people just say, hey, you know what, I'm missing the boat right now. I've got too much on my plate. I'll look into this in January and February of next year. And I'll be okay.
I mean, I've seen both cases. Now I know the program didn't change very much in 22 to 23. And they've always had a very robust program. We were just awarded another contract to increase the scope of programs going into next year. But I would say, these budgets are never guaranteed. And if a lot of people partake in them, when the budget's gone, and then you do have to wait till next year. So I would think if anybody has some idea they want to do something, at least investigate it. The sooner the better.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yep.
And I'm curious too, we've talked about a lot of different ways and the different types of entities that can take advantage of these rebates, from, like Paul just described, someone who is leasing a space, to the small business owner, to the larger, processor or manufacturer. And we use lighting as an easy example, but just as a reminder, this could also apply to HVAC systems or
Absolutely
updating machinery that would use less therms or less kilowatts and be more efficient. So lots and lots of different things. I know you've been in this industry for a very long time. So long and short is reach out to Bob.
Reach out to me with any questions at all.
Yes.
We have general catalogs. It'll give you a whole plethora of everything that we're involved with. And if something in that catalog, personally, I didn't think there was as much agriculture as there are. I didn't realize we have a specific agriculture catalog. So that really surprised me. And I was, again, very surprised at the amount of farming in the Auburn area. It's kind of in my backyard when I leave, Rochester. But like I said before, I've seen a whole lot of cows I haven't seen before. So it's, but it's so specific. So if anybody has any questions, what's out there for me, this is what I have, this is what I do, by all means, just call me. We can have a conversation. I can get you all kinds of information. And if it looks, we dig into this, and we can help you. It would definitely benefit your facility, your monthly energy cost, and put some extra money in your pocket to kind of make it worthwhile pursuing that project.
Bob, I'm so glad you brought up agriculture, because that is one of our major industries here in Cayuga County. And our economic research specialist who's on the call, Pete King, would probably rattle off these statistics better, but we've been digging into some of those numbers, and I believe we have more cows than people here in Cayuga County. And
I believe it.
We have a very, very strong industry, and number one or number two in New York State for a few of those categories. So there's so much, and that's why I was very much looking forward to this. And I can tell you're very passionate about what you do. We're both, lucky to be in these types of jobs where we aren't selling
Absolutely.
anything. We're just here to help, and doesn't hurt to reach out to us because we're both free and we have a lot of things that we can help with. So hopefully we will have more topics like this coming up in the future. Does anybody have any last minute questions before we stop the recording? And then we can have sort of an informal Q&A if anyone has any questions they don't want to ask that might be recorded.
I have one for some of my clients. I'm just thinking, as we're talking, I'm thinking, so Bob, one of the biggest caveats is like the landlords are not really maybe upgrading their HVAC systems. And I go into these small businesses and it's like they're sweating to death, these poor people inside their spaces. Are there specific programs? Because our summers are so crazy now, it seems, with the weather spiking up to 91 day and 70 the next. Are there special programs with the newer technology to help people with these HVAC systems?
Yeah, and I think on that particular slide that we were talking about for the small business, because it does include gas measures, you could look at a high efficiency furnace. You could go with a higher SEER energy rated AC unit. They cover a lot of setback thermostats, a lot of controls. So the more they can control and save energy, things that we can offer rebates on. So yes.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Well, it seems like we are wrapping up a very successful CEDA Sparks episode 4. If anyone has any other topics you'd like us to consider for future episodes, or if you have any business needs, please reach out to myself. Paul Vigiano is our small business development specialist. We are here for you. So at this time, I'm going to stop the recorded portion. And if anyone would like to stay on and ask any other questions that won't be recorded, feel free. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Maureen. And I just want to add too, both yourself and Lauren have been very helpful with my job to promoting this. I work with some other economic development groups, and I have to say, as a group, CEDA's really got their act together. You guys seem to be right on top of everything. So it's a pleasure working with you there. And, I hope we keep working together for a long time on this and, and ultimately help as many of your members as we can and get a record amount of rebate money out there for your group.
Let's do it. There's money there. Let's bring it here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.